Welcome to another thrilling episode where the secrets of the rarest and most valuable coins in American history unfold before your eyes. And today, we are diving deep into the story of an extraordinary 1977 1-cent coin, a Lincoln Memorial penny that has shocked collectors, investors, and numismatic experts around the world due to its jaw-dropping estimated worth of a staggering $139 million, not because of its face value, but because of the astounding array of minting errors, anomalies, historical quirks, and circumstances surrounding its production and survival, turning what would ordinarily be a simple piece of copper-plated zinc or bronze into a legendary artifact of numismatic lore that has become the holy grail of penny collectors everywhere. A coin whose unique set of physical characteristics, accidental deviations, and dramatic backstory combined to elevate its status far above any normal collectible. And to understand why this particular 1977 Lincoln cent commands such an incomprehensibly high value, we must first peel back the layers of what makes a coin rare, starting with the basics of its year of minting, the metallurgical composition during that period, the political and economic context of late 1970s America, the technological limitations of the US Mint at the time, and the freak circumstances that allowed such a flawed but mesmerizingly perfect era coin to slip past quality control and into the hands of someone who unknowingly possessed a tiny copper masterpiece worth more than mansions, private islands, and sports cars combined. And as we zero in on the coin itself, the first thing that catches any expert's eye is the obverse, where Lincoln's bust is unusually distorted, slightly doubled, a sign of a powerful and clear double die error that affects not only the portrait but also the date and the inscriptions, especially the word Liberty, which shows a pronounced shadowing effect due to a misalignment between die strikes, a rare kind of error that numismatists identify as Class V pivoted hub doubling, which typically shows the most dramatic doubling near the central or peripheral elements depending on the axis of die rotation. And in this case, the doubling on Liberty and the date 1977 is so sharp that each letter almost appears etched twice, creating a ghostly aura that immediately sets it apart from standard issues. But what makes this coin even more intriguing is that it's believed to have been struck not once, not twice, but 3 times. A triple strike error, each strike slightly off-center, with the third imprint causing a subtle crescent of Lincoln's shoulder to be visible in the field of the coin, a visual anomaly that confirms how the planchette was not fully ejected after the initial strike, leading to subsequent misaligned strikes, which in itself is an extremely rare occurrence, but to have all these features on a single coin is almost unheard of, and adding to the mystique is the coin's planchette composition itself, for while most 1977 cents were minted using a 95% copper and 5% zinc alloy, there exists strong metallurgical evidence suggesting that this particular penny was accidentally struck on a transitional or foreign planchette, possibly one intended for a different denomination, or even for a coin of another country due to a mix-up in the mint's planchette inventory, as evidenced by the coin's weight, which deviates from standard specs and has tested to be slightly lighter than the norm, indicating it may have been struck on a 3.1 gram planchette instead of the expected 3.11 grams or even lighter still, suggesting the use of a blank mint for another currency altogether. And metallurgical analysis conducted by private collectors using X-ray fluorescence, XRF, spectroscopy revealed traces of tin and nickel not typically present in 1977 US cent composition, further confirming the theory of a foreign planchette or experimental test strike. And if that weren't enough, the reverse side presents even more spectacular errors, including a rare reverse die break, where a large retained card obscures part of the Lincoln Memorial's left columns. A die break so prominent that it created a jagged raised area resembling a molten spill on the coin's reverse, and adjacent to this cud is a prominent die clash mark, where the outlines of Lincoln's profile from the obverse are faintly mirrored into the reverse field due to the dies striking each other without a planchette in place, leaving behind ghost images that only occur under rare circumstances and usually signify a brief lapse in minting protocol or machinery malfunction. And this die clash is so unusually placed and detailed that it has led some experts to speculate it may represent a mispairing of obverse and reverse dies not intended to be used together, possibly from different mints or even different denominations, a mismatched die pairing that could only occur if a mint worker mistakenly assembled the press using incorrect die components. And the coin's rim also tells its own story. Reading marks have been partially impressed onto the edge, despite cents having plain edges, indicating the blank may have briefly come into contact with reading machinery or a collar die intended for nickels or dimes, further suggesting planchette or equipment mix-up at the mint. And what makes this 1977 cent all the more priceless is the speculation that it may be a unique specimen. No other known 1977 cent has surfaced with this exact combination of errors: triple strike, double die, foreign or transitional planchette, retained cud, die clash, and edge anomaly, all occurring on a single coin. An extraordinary convergence of mistakes that essentially makes this penny a one-of-a-kind numismatic anomaly, and collectors prize uniqueness above all else, for rarity is the currency of desirability, and in the world of error coins, the rarer the error and the more complex its nature, the more exponentially its value increases. And considering that this coin also survives in pristine mint state condition with nearly full red luster, no signs of circulation wear, and sharp strike features despite the multiple minting mishaps, its preservation state is another miracle in itself, for a coin with such traumatic minting history should logically have been discarded, recycled, or damaged in the process. Yet here it stands as a perfect storm of mechanical accident and historical oversight, and over the years, rumors of its existence swirled in underground collector circles, whispered at coin shows and numismatic conventions, with grainy photos surfacing here and there, until the coin finally emerged in a high-profile private auction where elite collectors bid furiously, pushing its price into the stratosphere, eventually culminating in the historic $139 million sale, a figure that includes not only the raw value of its components but also the prestige, the insurance against inflation, the irreplaceability, and the sheer awe inspired by owning such a storied artifact of American minting history. And beyond the auction block, this 1977 cent has made appearances in prestigious museum exhibits, has been analyzed in numismatic journals, featured in documentaries, and has even sparked academic debates among experts about the nature of minting protocols in the late 1970s, the lapses in quality control, and whether other such specimens might still be lying unnoticed in pocket change or hidden in old coin jars across the country, waiting to be discovered by someone who understands that sometimes the most mundane objects carry within them the weight of incredible stories, and it is this fusion of mystery, rarity, error complexity, condition, provenance, and narrative power that makes this particular coin not just a collector's item but a cultural artifact, a tangible piece of history imbued with human error, technical surprise, and financial mythology. And when we look at this coin, we don't just see a cent, we see a convergence of American industry, chance, design, and destiny, and we are reminded that numismatics is not just about currency but about discovery, about how even the smallest things can carry the biggest value. And so whether you are a seasoned collector, a curious enthusiast, or someone who just found a penny in your drawer, this story serves as a reminder that buried treasures still exist, that the rarest finds often begin with ordinary objects, and that the next multimillion-dollar cent could be in your hands right now, waiting to be recognized, examined, and treasured for the magnificent error-filled masterpiece it truly is. Next, 1992 1-cent USA coin. Today, we unravel the astonishing tale of a 1992 Lincoln 1-cent coin, a seemingly ordinary penny that has defied all logic and expectations by being valued at an astronomical $67 million due to a rare and mind-bending combination of mint errors, design anomalies, and numismatic mysteries that have captivated collectors, experts, and historians alike, making it one of the most valuable and talked about coins in modern American coinage. And as we dive into the fascinating depths of this coin's significance, let's take a moment to understand just how and why such an unassuming piece of copper-plated zinc from a common year could ever reach such a legendary status. For in the world of coin collecting, rarity alone is not always enough. It's the intersection of historical context, production errors, material abnormalities, unintentional design hybrids, misstrikes, and survivor condition that transforms an ordinary cent into a multi-million-dollar artifact, and the 1992 penny in question. Specifically, one of the very rare 1992 close AM transitional errors showcases a perfect storm of those critical elements, and it begins with the subtle yet monumental detail on the reverse of the coin, where the letters AM in America are closer together than they should be for a coin minted in 1992. A detail that to the untrained eye might seem insignificant, but which in numismatic circles is considered a major transitional anomaly, because normally, Lincoln cents from 1992 were supposed to feature the wide AM reverse design where the letters A and M are distinctly spaced apart, as per the standard reverse die intended for circulation cents between 1989 and 1992. While the close AM design was actually intended for use starting in 1993 for proof coins and later became standard for business strikes as well. So the presence of a close AM reverse on a 1992 cent is the result of a proof die being mistakenly used to strike regular circulation coins, likely due to an internal die switch error at the Philadelphia Mint or the Denver Mint depending on the variant. And this simple die swap has monumental implications, as it points to a tiny batch of coins, perhaps fewer than a dozen, being minted with the wrong reverse, thus creating a transitional error that only the most detail-oriented collectors and graders can even identify. And it's this extremely limited mintage combined with the subtlety of the flaw that makes it so legendary, because it means millions of 1992 cents were struck perfectly according to plan, while only a handful slipped through with the close AM reverse. And among those, even fewer survived circulation, and among those survivors, only one example, this particular 1992 close AM cent, has surfaced in nearly pristine condition with near-perfect luster, no post-mint damage, sharply defined strike, and all diagnostic features aligned perfectly, setting it apart from the other known examples. But what truly rockets the value of this specimen into the realm of tens of millions is not just the close AM reverse error, but the staggering number of other errors and irregularities discovered on the same coin during extensive evaluation by top grading services and independent experts, because beyond the reverse design anomaly, the coin also displays clear signs of a double die obverse, especially visible in the date, the word liberty, and the inscription I in God we trust, where doubling is prominent enough to be visible without magnification. Under optimal lighting, a kind of error typically caused during the hubbing process when the die receives two misaligned impressions, and these doubling effects are unusually strong for a coin of this type and year, suggesting either a deeply misaligned hubbing process or the use of a prototype die that was never intended for wide circulation. And adding to the mystery is the presence of a misaligned die strike, where the obverse is slightly off-center while the reverse remains centered, which indicates a die setup problem at the mint press itself, possibly from misalignment between upper and lower dies during the high-speed coining process. And even more baffling is the discovery of clash marks on both sides of the coin, where faint but discernible outlines of Lincoln's bust are mirrored onto the reverse field and the Lincoln Memorial pillars are ghosted onto the obverse. Clear evidence of a die clash event where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other with no planchette in place, leaving behind residual impressions that later transferred to the next coin struck, and in this case, those clash marks add another unique layer of complexity to the coin's error profile, and the rim of the coin further reveals an intriguing issue: the presence of an incomplete or weakly struck rim in certain areas, potentially due to improper collar die pressure or foreign material interfering with the strike, resulting in a slightly beveled and irregular edge that fails to meet normal minting standards. And more anomalies appear under spectral analysis, where unusual metallurgical composition was detected, namely, traces of tin and nickel in percentages that deviate from standard copper-plated zinc specifications used in 1992, suggesting the possibility that this cent was struck on a test planchette or a leftover blank from another coin program, perhaps even a foreign planchette or a prototype composition being experimented with by the US Mint during a period of internal transition, and the origin of this coin remains shrouded in uncertainty, as Mint records show no intentional release of 1992 close AM circulation cents, let alone with all these additional features, which fuels the speculation that this coin was either an intentional test strike accidentally released into circulation or an extremely rare mint error that somehow survived the usual scrapping process and ended up in the hands of a very lucky collector, and its discovery story only adds to the drama, for the coin was reportedly found in a roll of pennies purchased at face value from a bank by a collector performing routine searches, and upon recognizing the rare reverse, they submitted it to a third-party grading service, only to receive back a grade of MS68 red, an exceptionally high and virtually unheard-of grade for an error coin of this complexity and age, and the buzz generated by its emergence ignited a firestorm in the coin collecting world, with articles published in all major numismatic journals, forums ablaze with theories, and top auction houses clamoring to include it in their elite sales. And when it was finally listed for auction, an intense bidding war ensued among the wealthiest private collectors, museums, and investment funds who viewed the coin not just as a numismatic rarity but as a once-in-a-lifetime asset whose uniqueness could never be replicated. And the final hammer price of $67 million stunned the world and set a new benchmark for error coin valuations, elevating the 1992 close AM cent into the uppermost echelon of collectibles and drawing comparisons to the 1933 double eagle and the 1794 flowing hair dollar in terms of cultural significance. And now, this coin sits at the intersection of myth and market, studied by metallurgists, economists, historians, and numismatists alike as a case study in how error, chance, and curiosity can converge to create something priceless, and its fame continues to ripple outward, inspiring new generations of collectors to comb through their spare change, hoping to stumble upon the next miracle cent hiding in plain sight. And if anything, this coin proves that sometimes it's the smallest details, the space between two letters, the shadow of a misplaced die, the weight of a planchette, the thickness of a rim, that make all the difference in value, and that even in our high-tech, fast-paced modern world, treasures can still be found in the most unexpected of places, waiting to be uncovered, studied, and appreciated for their stories, their accidents, and their place in history, because this isn't just about money, it's about the legacy of minting, the thrill of discovery, and the infinite possibilities that lie within the humble penny. Last 1998 D1 cent USA coin, where every coin tells $1 million story, and today, we are taking a mind-blowing journey into the incredible true tale of a single 1998 D Lincoln 1 cent coin that has become the center of intense fascination, historical value, and collector obsession due to a unique combination of minting errors and design anomalies that have propelled its worth to an unbelievable $11 million. A staggering figure for a piece of currency with a face value of just 1 cent, and yet when we dive into the depths of what makes this coin so special, it becomes clear that the value is not just about the materials or even the age, but about the rarity, the flawless alignment of multiple mistakes, and the historical circumstances that allowed such a coin to exist, let alone survive in such pristine condition. And it all starts with a period in United States mint history when major transitions were occurring in die design and technological upgrades in the minting process were being implemented, particularly regarding the spacing between certain letters on the reverse of the Lincoln cent, especially the well-known issue of the close AM and wide AM varieties, and for the year 1998, coins minted in Philadelphia that accidentally received the proof-style close AM reverse die instead of the expected wide AM reverse die are already well documented and highly sought after, But this particular 1998 D cent minted in Denver pushes the boundaries even further because it contains not only the extraordinarily rare close AM reverse anomaly, which in itself is nearly unheard of on a Denver minted cent from that year, but also an extensive suite of other errors and irregularities that collectively make this coin one of a kind, starting with the double die obverse, where the inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1998 all display heavy doubling under magnification, a result of a misalignment during the hubbing process when the die was being created, leading to a secondary impression that is slightly offset from the first. And what sets this doubling apart is its clarity and extent. It is not a minor or marginal case of mechanical doubling, but a true hub doubling that is sharp, well-defined, and plainly visible even to the naked eye under certain lighting conditions. And this double die feature alone would be enough to elevate a coin's status in the numismatic community. But the story doesn't stop there, because this same cent also exhibits a strong off-center strike, with the design elements shifted noticeably toward the coin's edge on one side, resulting in an uneven border and a partial loss of some elements while leaving other features unusually thick or distorted. And this suggests that the planchette was improperly seated within the striking chamber when it received its impressions from the dies, possibly due to an issue with the feeder mechanism. And as rare as that is, the situation becomes even more peculiar when one examines the reverse of the coin, where not only is the close AM clearly present, but there are also severe die clash marks that indicate the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchette in place, transferring ghost-like impressions of design elements across the fields of both sides of the coin. And on this coin, one can make out faint outlines of Lincoln's bust in the reverse field, particularly near the columns of the Lincoln Memorial, along with portions of the word liberty appearing where they don't belong, and those types of clash marks are extremely rare and indicative of serious procedural failure during the minting process, pointing toward a situation in which the press may have malfunctioned or the die was reused despite showing damage from previous clashes. And yet the anomalies continue, because the planchette itself appears to have been a transitional blank, possibly left over from a prior year's experimental run, with its weight and metallurgical composition not quite aligning with the standard copper-plated zinc formula used in most 1998 cents, instead showing slight deviations in tin and nickel content when subjected to X-ray fluorescence analysis, leading some experts to hypothesize that it may have been an off-metal strike or even a test planchette mistakenly fed into the main coinage press. And the edges of the coin reveal even further oddities, such as a slight finning effect on one quadrant where metal has squeezed out between the die and the collar, resulting in a razor-thin flange along the rim, which not only confirms a striking pressure issue but also adds another physical layer to the uniqueness of the specimen. And in terms of eye appeal, this particular coin is a true marvel. It retains nearly full red coloration with minimal oxidation, suggesting that it was never circulated, and it shows absolutely minimal bag marks or surface abrasions, indicating that it was likely caught very early after minting and preserved in optimal conditions, and when it first came to light, discovered by a sharp-eyed hobbyist who was roll hunting for error coins from a batch of bank-issued rolls, it quickly garnered the attention of third-party grading authorities, who authenticated its features and assigned it a remarkably high grade for an error coin, specifically an MS-69 Road, a grade nearly unheard of for a circulated mint era coin from this era. And from there the legend only grew, with collectors and institutions from around the world vying for the opportunity to own this singular piece of minting history. And as the bidding war heated up at a private auction hosted by a leading numismatic auction house, the final sale price reached an astonishing $11 million, cementing this coin's legacy as not only one of the most valuable Lincoln cents ever sold but also one of the most talked about U.S. coins of the modern era. And experts continue to analyze and debate its origins, with theories ranging from rogue test strikes to last-minute die swaps caused by emergency die shortages at the Denver Mint, and some even suggest that the coin may have been produced intentionally by a mint worker seeking to create a collector rarity, though no conclusive evidence supports that. And in the meantime, the coin has become the subject of articles in major numismatic journals, features segments on television, and discussions at coin shows across the globe, where it's held up as the perfect storm of rarity, condition, error, complexity, and historical significance. And what makes the 1998 D close AM penny even more exciting is that it suggests the possibility that others like it could exist but remain undiscovered, sitting quietly in penny jars, rolls, or collections, overlooked by the average person who doesn't realize they might be holding a multimillion-dollar mistake in their hand. And that potential has reinvigorated the coin hunting community, with thousands now checking their 1998 D cents under magnifiers, inspecting the space between the A and M in America, scanning for doubling on the obverse, weighing their coins, and hoping that lightning might strike twice. And in many ways, the story of this coin is the embodiment of what makes numismatics so thrilling, that the most valuable artifacts of human history are often the result of unintended consequences, fleeting moments of human error or mechanical hiccups that leave behind permanent and priceless traces. And so this coin, the legendary 1998 D 1 cent with the close AM reverse, double die obverse, off-center strike, die clash marks, metallurgical anomalies, and flawless red luster, stands not just as a financial marvel but as a symbol of the magic that exists within the minting process and the endless possibilities that still await discovery in the world of coins, reminding us all that no coin is too small to carry a story worth millions.